Look, we all know that flying can be stressful. You're crammed into a metal tube, hurtling through the air at hundreds of miles per hour, with nothing but a thin piece of plastic separating you from certain doom. But statistically speaking, flying is still the safest way to travel. Recently, a string of aviation incidents has even the most seasoned travelers feeling uneasy. We're talking emergency landings, cockpit chaos, and even the occasional in-flight fire. Are these just isolated incidents, or are they a sign that something bigger is going wrong? Well, buckle up, folks, because we're about to take a deep dive into the world of aviation safety. We'll be examining some of the most recent incidents, exploring the potential causes, and asking the tough questions about whether or not it's still safe to fly. On December 27, 2024, Azerbaijan Airlines Flight 8243 was on its final approach when things went about as smoothly as a badger in a balloon factory. The pilots, no doubt enjoying their pre-landing coffee, suddenly found themselves wrestling with the controls as the aircraft decided to throw a mid-air tantrum. Imagine you're a passenger on this flight, blissfully unaware, when suddenly the plane starts shaking harder than a chihuahua on a trampoline. Passengers described the landing as terrifying, violent, and like being inside a paint shaker. Miraculously, the pilots managed to wrestle the aircraft to the ground, albeit with all the grace of a drunken hippopotamus. The plane skidded off the runway, leaving a trail of sparks and terrified screams in its wake. Thankfully, everyone walked away from the incident, presumably with a newfound appreciation for solid ground. Early reports suggest a catastrophic mechanical failure. This incident highlights the importance of rigorous maintenance and safety checks. Just when you thought it was safe to go back into the air, another incident rocked the aviation world, this time involving Jeju Air Flight 2216. Unlike the previous story, this wasn't a case of a plane throwing a mechanical hissy fit. Imagine this: you're cruising at 30,000 feet, happily sipping your overpriced tomato juice, when suddenly the pilots start acting like they've misplaced their car keys in a parallel universe. Reports suggest that the pilots on Flight 2216 experienced a sudden and unexplained loss of navigational data. The leading theory is that Flight 2216 was a victim of GPS jamming, a particularly nasty trick where someone interferes with GPS signals, causing them to go haywire. The point is, GPS jamming is a growing concern for aviation safety. As we become increasingly reliant on technology, we also become more vulnerable to those who seek to exploit it. So, while the incident on Flight 2216 ended without any major drama, it serves as a stark reminder that the skies are becoming an increasingly complex and potentially dangerous place to navigate. Okay, let's move on from pilots battling rogue technology to a slightly more relatable fear spontaneous combustion in the overhead compartment. Picture this: you've just boarded the plane, wrestled your way past the person in front of you who seems to think their entire house needs to fit in the overhead bin, and settled into your seat. You're about to drift off to a blissful pre-flight nap when suddenly the distinct smell of burning electronics fills the cabin. Smoke starts billowing from the overhead compartment, and before you know it, the cabin crew is scrambling around like they're on a particularly stressful episode of Come Dine With Me. The culprit? A power bank, you know, those handy little devices we use to keep our phones charged and our anxieties high, decided to stage its own personal fireworks display inside a passenger's bag. Fortunately, the crew managed to contain the blaze before it turned the plane into a flying marshmallow. But the incident raised serious concerns about the safety of lithium-ion batteries on planes. Lithium-ion batteries, while incredibly useful, can be a bit temperamental, especially when exposed to extreme temperatures or damage. So, next time you're packing for a flight, maybe leave that ancient power bank that's held together with duct tape and prayers at home. So after all that, should we be hanging up our airplane seat belts and investing in a really good pair of hiking boots? Well, not quite. Despite these recent incidents, flying is still statistically safer than many other forms of transportation. However, these incidents do highlight the evolving challenges facing the aviation industry. From mechanical failures to cyber threats, and even the occasional rogue power bank, the skies are becoming an increasingly complex and unpredictable environment. But here's the good news. The aviation industry is incredibly good at learning from its mistakes, so while the skies might be changing, so too is the way we navigate them.
If you love aviation, hit that subscribe button and keep exploring the skies with us.